Is that the guy has last stop or what?
Copy, we think so.
Yeah, so this Sainz pit stop has been a bit of a blow to Hamilton because Lewis is just going to be stuck behind him now because Sainz has the super fresh.
is. He's right behind him, can't find a way through at turn 4.
Wow, that was closer than I would have thought. And I think Vettel messed up a little bit in turn 1. Otherwise, he could have had a real shot at this. But now it looks like Ocon is back in control. My goodness, I didn't think it would have been so close.
No, half a second. 0.6 of a second maybe lost in that pit stop for Sebastian Vettel. That might have taken the win away from Aston Martin, as you said.
You are very right. That pit stop, the time lost Vettel the win today. Because his outlap, I mean, Vettel's outlap must have been blistering. He made up so much time.
He did, but he's still got a chance because they're still racing and they're still out on the track. And Sebastian Vettel is a wily old campaigner. Esteban Ocon not afraid to get his elbows out. He's up for the scrap.
Struggling, man.
So, Hamilton's tyre situation not as good as Esteban Ocon's or Sebastian Vettel's, as you would expect. Can Vettel now use DRS to his advantage to try and get past into turn 1? He can't, but he does close up wonderfully under braking, takes a different line to Ocon. Now down towards turn 2, a little bit too far behind the Alpine. In second place, the Alpine that's leading is Fernando Alonso, who leads a Grand Prix for the first time since the Hungaroring in 2014, and when Daniel Ricciardo got in with 3 laps to go.
Not much left on the tyres, I guess.
Yep, copy that.
Not long now, not long.
And whilst he's not expecting to go on and win this race, Fernando Alonso at 40, Fernando at 40, fighting fit at 40 and enjoying leading a Grand Prix once again. That's his tyre performance, powered by AWS and the red zone at the rear. That's the performance life, Nico. One of the tyres looks great, but he needs to lean on all 4.
Yes, that 10% on the right rear does not look too great.
No.
That is not going to feel too great when you're driving that car either. I mean, that rear is just going to be all over the place.
Like driving on ice for him, but he has been on those tyres for 35 laps, and he's going to get a new set of the hard compound tyres. So as he comes into the pits, which he does now,
maybe I'll take you through this pit stop just quickly. So for a driver, it's not easy because it's so important to get like spot on onto the line. If you're 20 centimeters too long, let's see how he's gone. Look, he nailed it perfectly. Because the mechanics, if you're 20 centimeters too long, the mechanic has to shift his complete body and the gun and everything, and it can cost you the half or 1 second that Vettel lost. So for the driver, it's so critical to be on the line in the perfect position at the pit stop.
Which he was, and he comes back out onto the track in 5th place. Sainz and Hamilton went through. So it's Ocon from Vettel, Sainz, Hamilton, Alonso, Tsunoda, Latifi, Gasly, Russell and Ricciardo, the point-scoring places.
Okay, Max, what's the balance limitation at the moment, please, mate?
There's no limitation, it's just broken. There's on the shoulders here.
Copy.
Which he was complaining about a bit on Friday during the excessive temperatures in practice, but not with a damaged car that he's got today. Verstappen down in 11th, and well, he needs to close up on Daniel Ricciardo to try and get at least 1 point out of this race. And it's a race at the moment that's going to see Lewis Hamilton retake the lead of the Drivers' Championship the way it stands. Here's Pierre Gasly down the main straight. And Gasly wanted to get past Latifi. That looked very late on the brakes.
That's what we're doing. Great job here.
Wow, well, that was a phenomenal late braking. I mean, everything has to be perfect to be able to do that, huh?
Well, that was like an exocet coming past Nicholas Latifi there, but one that could stop in about 50 metres. Karun, down to you.
Yeah, just thinking back to a couple of years ago when Hamilton and Mercedes did that two-stop, Crofty. They pitted on lap 48. We're on lap 41 now. There's a gap that's opened up between Latifi and Russell. So if they chose to bring Lewis in, he could come out in that gap with a little bit of space there to make the undercut work. Carlos Sainz, using his racer's brain, is telling Ferrari, guys, watch Mercedes. They may pit again. We have to be smart about it. He's basically telling them to watch the strategy from the car.
Well, he'll remember back, and I'm sure all our viewers will remember back as well, because that race when Lewis Hamilton charged down Max Verstappen and got him with 5 laps to go was voted moment of the season in 2019. Meanwhile, Verstappen is coming in for another change of tyres here. Medium tyres going on. Well, they've got nothing to lose because they're out of the points at the moment, and Verstappen struggling and unable to pass that McLaren.
Yeah, but let's also remember that I mean, Red Bull made a strategy mistake today, huh? Because Verstappen was ahead of the road to Lewis, and Lewis just pitted early and undercut the Verstappen and Ricciardo group, huh? So it's also a strategy mistake from Red Bull today in that sense.
The day has been compounded ever since the lights went out. Valtteri Bottas collided with Lando Norris, that collided with Max Verstappen, and then Sergio Perez taken out of the race as Charles Leclerc was hit by Lance Stroll. And it's just gone from bad to worse again. And they're looking at the moment, Nico, a second race in a row where Red Bull, the Constructors' Championship leaders, are going to score no points.
It's an unbelievable turn of events, isn't it? Unbelievable for the championship, for drivers, constructors.
It's, and when you pay out the prize money on the Constructors' Championship points, these are points that Red Bull would not want to be throwing away. Sergio Perez hinting as well that there could be damage to his engine after that crash at turn 1, and he one of 6 drivers out of this race. Leclerc and Stroll, Bottas, Perez, Lando Norris and Nikita Mazepin, who was hit in the pit lane by Kimi Raikkonen, who got a 10-second penalty for an unsafe release, and Sebastian Vettel will not want to be locking up very much more than that into turn 1 if he's going to use those hard tyres to the end. Karun, to you.
Carlos Sainz has been complaining about the helicopter with the TV cameras, Crofty, saying it's creating a lot of turbulence. Remember Lance Stroll?
I was going to say second time in 2 races.
Exactly, Lance Stroll at Silverstone. We saw the onboard, how much the car moved with the turbulence from the helicopter. And Sainz has been on the radio saying, get the helicopter higher up, it's creating turbulence.
I'm impressed with his overview during this hyper-stress situation with Hamilton behind. You know, Sainz telling the engineers, you know, watch out for the Hamilton undercut, get the helicopter out the way, and at the same time, look at the lap times he's doing. You know, he's driving brilliantly, Sainz, today, so fast.
Lewis, meanwhile, the rears are shot, I think is the word he was trying to use on that one. Certainly had 4 letters in it anyway. He's struggling on the rears, but we're expecting him to come in again and then charge to the checkered flag.
But can we just hold on to the fact that Sainz and Hamilton are about to catch up to the leaders very, very soon, huh?
Yeah.
So this is not over yet at the front there.
They have pace, they really do. And Mercedes telling Lewis Hamilton, you're challenging for a podium, which on about lap 4, a podium would have been the last thing Lewis Hamilton was thinking about then. And he sounded very demoralised and demotivated as well, but with some clever strategy thinking, they've got him back into this race. Chasing Fernando Alonso, Lewis Hamilton, our battle forecast powered by AWS. In 8 laps, Hamilton should be on the back of Fernando Alonso. Teammates, of course, in 2007. Sorry, Alonso in the back of Lewis Hamilton. Teammates in 2007. And at the Hungaroring, it all got a bit tasty that year as well. See if Hamilton is still going to be ahead of Fernando Alonso by that stage, or whether he will have pitted. Because round about lap 48 could be a good time to pit.
I mean, for Mercedes now, it's all about trying to get either the undercut on Sainz, or anyways, just stopping into a gap with fresh medium tires and then just lighting the fireworks for Lewis to work for the last maybe 20 laps of the race. And who knows, with the pace he'll have then, who knows what he'll still be able to achieve.
Where do you think he can finish in this race?
I think the win is still possible. Why not?
You are the most optimistic man on the planet. I love that. Why?
Because I know Lewis Hamilton. He's been my teammate. And if you pit him and you slap on some new medium tires, he is going to be absolutely flying. And the guys in front, remember, are on one-stops, huh?
Yeah.
They're going to have, like, very old, hard tires. And Sainz isn't going to be in a much better position.
Yeah, I have the feeling Hamilton is going to box again. Watch for Hamilton behind, copy that, and he will box behind Alonso, so we should be safe to stay there to the end.
Right, Karun Chandok to you on that one.
Yeah, I'm not so sure, guys. Lewis Hamilton, at that same time, came on the radio to say the tyres have got a second wind. And Bono went back with, that's good to hear, let's keep going. He's only 6.7 off the lead. I tell you what, Christian Horner's not going to be very impressed on the pit wall, is he?
Tyres got second wind.
That's great to hear.
And that's the radio message there. And Lewis Hamilton now a second behind Carlos Sainz.
Yes, but we also know that they like to tell stories, huh? So maybe that was just a message towards Ferrari saying, hey, we're not going to be stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, and this man knows Lewis Hamilton. Friend, teammates, childhood buddy, rival, everything bar lover, quite frankly. Neighbour as well. Hamilton locks up, going into to turn 1. You used to, didn't Lewis Hamilton's safe used to live in your apartment as well when he first moved to Monaco?
No, maybe yes, a couple of watches or something. Yes, that's true. They deposited in my apartment. Yes.
You told me you.
And for some reason, there was one watch missing afterwards.
Really?
Yes. I don't know where. I don't know what happened.
Very nice watch you're wearing today as well.
I don't know what happened.
You told me you kept that safe in your bathroom. It always tickled me that for some reason. Ted, let's head down to you.
A couple of things from down here. First of all, this Alpine Aston Martin battle of the pit walls goes on. I mean, I think Aston Martin are frustrated. They feel they have the faster car. I think the lap times would suggest that. Seb's been up and about 0.8 of a second behind Ocon to a second now with a faster lap time last time round. Just can't get through. So Ocon's managing this brilliantly. Vettel always in his dirty air the whole race, just can't get past. But this is why Vettel was hired, wasn't he, by Aston Martin, to win races on a crazy day. But we've chosen the wrong circuit, which you can't overtake very easily. Talking of that, we'll see what Max Verstappen can do from where he is. We think we've got a new fastest pit stop record of the season for his pit stop last time round, Verstappen's, Crofty.
Wow.
The TV...
So less than 1.93?
Yes. Well, the TV said 1.8, didn't it?
To be honest, I didn't clock it.
Okay, and our boys in the boiler rooms in Sky Studios have timed it at more or less exactly the same as 1.93, and I think the TV always comes up slightly quicker than that. So I think we'll be looking at a quicker pit stop. Not that it's going to help them particularly much today, but well done, boys and girls at Red Bull Racing.
It might be the last chance to set world record pit stop times as well, because
before it comes in at Spa.
Absolutely, pit stop procedure will change. A word for Esteban Ocon and Sebastian Vettel at this moment. Amidst all the chaos and carnage, Nico, into turn one, they absolutely picked the right line and showed so much calm and composure to avoid the melee.
Yes, plus a bit of luck, huh? But let's just say that Ocon is driving a brilliant race so far. I mean, he's absolutely nailing it. He's just consistent, keeping those tires alive, not making any mistakes, because the slightest mistake and Vettel is by.
Yeah.
So you cannot understand, like, the pressure is so high, because if you're in front, you can't allow to make any mistakes. If you're the guy behind like Vettel, you can allow to go looking for that limit all the time, because a little mistake, no problem. You just catch up the next lap. So it's a very different situation. So
Esteban Ocon's race engineer, Josh Peckett, who I think he worked with back in his days for Marussia and for the Manor team. He was his performance engineer in the garage then. The fact they've got such a long-term relationship, how does that help at this moment to try and keep Esteban calm? Because you would imagine underneath, being calm is not the easiest thing to do.
No, I mean, the engineer has a role as well in terms of sports mentality. Like with my engineer, with Tony Ross, we did quite a work on that actually, because very often in the beginning of my career, I would feel like how, sorry the word, but depressed he would sound on the radio when things are not going well.
He wasn't the most lively man, was he?
I'm telling Tony, in those moments, like, I need your, like, big push, like, support and positivity.
Yeah.
And he really changed that. And all those little ingredients play a role in winning the championship in the end. And so I hope that Ocon has a similar relationship now. And we see Lewis pitting.
Okay, so the tyres might have got a second wind, but a big deep breath later, and it was time to get rid of them. He's got a set of medium tyres, Lewis Hamilton, to stick on for some extra pace, and there they are, waiting for a nice, brand new, shiny set of medium tyres to go on and back out into the race. And he will come out into the race behind Fernando Alonso in 5th place.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is hammer time.
On lap 48, he pits. Remember in 2019, when he pitted for a second time in the race to chase down Max Verstappen and to go on and win it? That was lap 48 as well. Karun Chandok called this about 7 laps ago. It's going to be lap 48 when Lewis Hamilton pits. Well, the strategy team at Mercedes were listening to him.
Well, yeah. But I mean, the critical thing was they had to get him out ahead of Tsunoda and Gasly. As we know, those two Alpha Tauris were going to be pretty robust in their defense.
Okay, Lewis, head down. It's going to be hammer time all the way.
Hammer time is now time. Watch out for lap 67. It's where he got Max Verstappen in 2019. Thing is, this time around, though, if he's going to get Esteban Ocon, he's got Fernando Alonso, Carlos Sainz and Sebastian Vettel to get past first. The eternal optimist that is the 2016 world champion believes that he can do that. But it is going to be quite a thing, as here goes, with back markers getting in the way, almost Sebastian Vettel getting past Esteban Ocon. So you've got Kimi Raikkonen there coming up to be lapped, and that was almost a swap for the lead, with the opportunist Sebastian Vettel getting within meters of getting past Esteban Ocon.
Did you see how close that was between the two cars going into turn one?
So all that pressure for Esteban Ocon that he's coping with, lap after lap. He's been leading this race for so long.
Okay, Pierre, we will swap in turn one. Driver swap turn one.
Okay. That's Gasly going to be told to get past, he's going to get past Yuki Tsunoda, and he has done, up into 6. All that pressure that has been nicely coped with now ramps up to DEFCON 5 or whatever it is in Esteban Ocon's brain, because Vettel is that much closer behind him.
Yeah, and Vettel is going to be getting stronger and stronger, because by now he'll have figured out exactly how to drive his car and position his car on the track to be able to follow Ocon in the most close way possible. And you'll know also where Ocon's weaknesses are, because he's been analyzing him for the last, 35 laps.
And coming down the straight, Mick Schumacher is going to be ahead of Ocon and Vettel, and I wonder, he's just a bit too far away this time for Sebastian Vettel to take any advantage whatsoever. Mick Schumacher and Vettel, very good friends indeed. Look how much closer Sebastian Vettel is getting. He's got better straight line speed than the Alpine, because he's got the DRS as well.
Did you see how much he gained there with the DRS? Huh? So this battle is not over. No, as we can see now, it's still going to be, 20 laps to go. It's going to be so tough for Ocon to keep Vettel behind.
Meanwhile, Lewis Hamilton sets a new fastest lap of the race.
Where am I? How many cars are going to make me overtake?
You see?
So Lewis, 4 cars to overtake for the win. We can do this. Ocon 25 seconds up the road. He's doing 22.8.
I'm in 4th still.
You are P5 at the moment. P5.
Okay, well, that
Lewis,
is
you can win this.
Okay.
That's the exact example of the team just doesn't often give us enough information. Lewis is out there driving. He doesn't even know where he is. Come on, guys.
He's trying not to get his hopes up too quickly. Hamilton in 3 laps, powered by AWS. The battle forecast says Hamilton in 3 laps on the back of Fernando Alonso. It's the key thing here. Hamilton with that fastest lap, 1:18.7. Alonso last lap, 1:21.1. Sainz last lap, 1:22.4. It was a 1:22.5 for Vettel and a 1:22.4 for Ocon. It's difficult to overtake here, but with that difference in lap times, it can be done. Meanwhile, here goes Sebastian Vettel, and he's not got DRS this time to try and get past Esteban Ocon, who might be just wondering, where can I get past Mick Schumacher? Are they going to be showing some blue flags? They've shown 1 blue flag to Mick Schumacher here. You've got to be within about 1.2 seconds, I think, of the car in front. But behind Mick Schumacher, Ocon and Vettel, Giovinazzi, who's running in 14th, and Sainz and Alonso, they're all getting held up slightly, with Lewis Hamilton chasing them. What, though, of Max Verstappen? Damage to his car, as we know. He came in for another pit stop. He's on fresher tyres, and there is the Alfa Romeo of Kimi Raikkonen being overtaken on the straight. 11th place now for Max Verstappen, who has got just ahead of him Daniel Ricciardo on older tyres, to see if he can get past the McLaren and chase him down to try and pick up points in this race. Don't go anywhere. This race is not done for the podium places, for Verstappen getting into the points, and for Lewis Hamilton going for a 9th, record-breaking 9th Hungarian Grand Prix victory, as Giovinazzi keeps out of the way, as he should do, and is lapped by both Sainz and Fernando Alonso, and Hamilton continues to close the gap on Fernando Alonso. It was 9.5 seconds at the end of lap 51.
So currently Ocon is holding us up here. Hamilton pitted and has done an 18.7 first lap, so he'll be with us with 10 laps to go.
See, don't count him out for the win. 10 laps to the man in 2nd place.
And again, Karun from race control here at Sky already said that like 1 lap ago. So let's see. The only worry I have is I hope that Lewis isn't taking too much out of the tire in these first 2 laps, and then putting them way too hot, and then really struggling with that medium tire towards the end of the race. I hope he's managing it okay, because his team, the message from his team was go flat out. And I'm not sure that's the absolute right thing to do.
The key thinking is, if it's a tyre that can do 40 laps, push hard for 20 laps, we should be okay.
No, because as I explained, it's the first 3 that are critical.
Yeah.
If you save a little bit in those first 3 laps and keep the tyre like 5 or 10 degrees colder, it will just have so much more performance for the next 20 laps.
Don't use all the goodies in the sweetie jar too quickly. Lap 52 of 70. Ocon and Vettel separated by a second. Vettel and Sainz separated by 5 seconds. Sainz and Alonso separated by a few meters. Alonso and Hamilton separated by 6 seconds, and it's closing all the time. Ted, down to you.
At McLaren, bit of action on the pit wall. Strategist Randy Singh is just sort of looking around, looks uncomfortable in his seat. That's normally a sign that he's considering a pit stop. And they've only got Daniel Ricciardo in the race. I'm just wondering if they're thinking of some way to get past George Russell, who Ricciardo's been stuck behind for the last 20 or 30 laps with Latifi in front of him. Clearly the McLaren is faster than the Williams, they believe, but he hasn't been able to do anything about it. They're running out of laps. They want to try and do another pit stop, though, another one for Ricciardo, copy Lewis and do another one, so they better get on with it.
Yeah, they are running out of time a little bit. With everything that's happening here, we've not dwelt too much on this, but absolute full marks to Williams today for their strategy. Latifi 8th, Russell 9th. At the moment, they're looking like they're going to get 6 points, which for Williams, 6 points in the World Championship, absolutely crucial. Would take them above, well, keep them above Haas, but take them above Alfa Romeo as well.
And let's also mention that Latifi is doing a great job today. I mean,
Correct.
Really, race pace. As we know, all season, he's been really very close to George on race pace and driven a brilliant race today.
Best finish of 11th in Austria and Italy and Imola for Nicholas Latifi. It could be his first points finish in Formula One, and was only a 10th behind George Russell in qualifying.
Okay, so Lewis now only 3.5 seconds left in the gap to Alonso, and the lap time difference is 2.7 seconds. And we've heard from Andreas Seidel that you need 2 seconds to be 2 seconds faster to have a chance to overtake. So it looks like he should have every chance to overtake Alonso and then the guys after that.
Yes, if you're 2 seconds faster, you've got a chance of overtaking the car in front. Verstappen would love to be 2 seconds faster than Daniel Ricciardo. He might be on pace at the moment, but he's just still stuck behind that McLaren in a frustrating 11th place, as Fernando Alonso will be starting to look over his shoulder, if he could look over his shoulder, certainly look in his mirrors, because Lewis Hamilton in car number 44 is getting within viewing distance.
Just before we get into the battles, just want to say how Lewis can manage his tyres. So it's the high load areas, the fast corners, where you just have to go a little bit slower and put a little bit less load on the tyres, and that will save your tyres massively. So that's the way to manage.
So through turn 11, for instance, don't lean on it quite so much. That's the fastest corner here. You take it, right-handed of course, at about 150 miles an hour. Karun, to you.
Yeah, Hamilton is just settling. As Nico said, it's important to have a face to let the tyres just settle and cure a little bit. So he's got the grip to attack at the end. He's in the dirty air now.
2 seconds, Karun.
Could you say to the FIA, hurry up, because what's the point of going on this walk? Dirty air.
Yuki, we see everything, so keep your head down, keep focus.
Yeah, he wants Pierre Gasly to go quicker, because Gasly, he thinks, is holding him up after he just let him past. Hamilton might try and get past Alonso here, but Kimi Räikkönen coming out of the pits, or trying to keep out of the way.
Alonso locked up. Alonso locked up. This is going to give him a big chance now. Well, with DRS, round the outside.
Räikkönen cost Hamilton the chance to get Alonso into turn 1. Might just have cost him overall the chance into turn 2 as well. But what Fernando Alonso did there was brilliant defending.
Hyper-aggressive, running him out the outside. Now Lewis, another chance. Round the outside this time. Wow, Alonso is just brilliant at defending, isn't he? What a great job he did there.
It is one thing to pass Mick Schumacher going through turn 4. It's another to try it on Fernando Alonso.
Alonso just ran the car like completely wide through turn 2 and just gave Lewis no chance whatsoever to go around the outside.
What is for sure, though, Nico, is that Alfa Romeo didn't need to be involved in the action if you were Lewis Hamilton or Mercedes at that stage. Because suddenly a gap to run is Owen Hamilton, and Hamilton is going for an Alonso overtake part 2, and he's not going to make it into turn 1. So what's he got with the next DRS zone into turn 2 as well? Current pace on track, Lewis Hamilton absolutely acing it, but he's been in for a second pit stop, and this is now looking to be a bit frustrating for him, as Alonso, much easier this time, manages to defend that 4th place. was that Hamilton's opportunity?
It was a very important one. Let's see if he gets another one. I mean, now through these corners here, it's important that Lewis tries to get as close as possible. Offsetting his lines now through these medium speeds here, maybe a little bit. Struggling to get close. Look, just in the dirty air.
And that dirty air just throwing you off the line you want to be at, making the car slide around a bit.
Yeah, and the dirty air kills your tires because you're sliding much more than normal. So the longer you're in that situation, oh look, he's dropped back massively now. So not sure he's going to be able to do this, huh? Let's see.
I tell you what, Fernando Alonso is doing a wonderful job in defending, not just for himself, but also for his teammate, Esteban Ocon, leading this race at the moment, who might have been thinking, I could be under pressure from Hamilton here, but Fernando, can you hold him up for a little bit? He's done it for 2 laps. Here comes third time lucky, possibly. Alonso's looking in his mirrors, needs to look the other way, because Hamilton was trying round the outside, but was a bit too far back again. He's closer now, in towards turn 2. DRS once again for Hamilton. Alonso makes Hamilton go the long way round the outside. Oh, they almost touch. Hamilton has to back out of it because he knew he was running out of room, and 3 laps running, Alonso keeps him at bay. Now we head towards turn 4. Hamilton's got the pace. He's not got the room. Alonso's got the racecraft, and he's still got 4th place.
Yeah, I mean, Alonso just brilliant, defending into turn 1, and then again, just running him out in turn 2, just sending Lewis a message, hey, don't try going around the outside of Fernando Alonso. Forget about that, man.
What was it he was saying in conversation with Rachel Brooks just a couple of days ago, Fernando Alonso? I have so much respect with Lewis, we have respect with each other, and you could see it there.
That was not the racing line that Alonso's on, huh? He just ran it completely offline, just giving Lewis on the outside no room whatsoever.
And Hamilton knew that he wasn't going to get past at turn 4 either, and that what he doesn't want to do is try to be too bold and too risky and chuck away what are 10 valuable championship points coming his way at the moment, with Verstappen down in 11th, not getting any points at all. Tell you what, I've really enjoyed the last 3 laps. Let's have another go with Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso.
So now Lewis is not quite close enough. Managed to offset on the inside there, and we've got a really good run out the exit, but I don't think it's quite close enough. Maybe. No.
Well, he's certainly
too far away.
Not as close as he was on the previous lap. Karun, to you.
Yeah, the reason why you can't necessarily see Lewis attacking consecutive lap after lap after lap is it's a strategic game in terms of the battery usage. Formula One, of course, hybrid engines. They have a limited amount of battery power, which they sometimes need to just back off, recharge all of the batteries, and then attack 100%, which is what Lewis did on the previous lap. He'll now spend this lap recharging it all up and wait for a Crofty. He'll be back at him soon.
Meanwhile, Fernando Alonso, in a car that isn't quite as fast at the moment, can't back off and charge up that battery pack as much as Lewis Hamilton is able to do. Hence, Hamilton, every other lap, gets the opportunity.
And Alonso behind, 22-1, still defending guard.
And that is great news for Carlos Sainz, that Fernando Alonso is still keeping Lewis Hamilton at bay. 58 laps out of 70. We're on lap 58 out of 70. And the gap between Alonso and Hamilton and Esteban Ocon round about 9.5 seconds at the moment. So this is very good news for all ahead of Alonso, as here comes Lewis Hamilton, as Verstappen once again can't get past Ricciardo. Hamilton now looking for a way, but he's a few car lengths short going into turn 1 as they head towards turn 4. The Red Bull still behind the McLaren. Such a frustrating and disappointing afternoon this for Max Verstappen. It's frustration for Lewis Hamilton on a lesser scale, I think, in this stage of the race. But remember, he did start on pole and he stayed out on the intermediate tyres while the rest of the field came in for slicks. That's why he's had to make his way back through the field.
And he's had more power if he got any.
Change your wind. That might be the only way they can give him more power than he seems to have already. How much do you throw at this? Because the more power you put through the engine, Nico, of course, the more strain that it's going to get as a result.
Yeah, but here there's a huge opportunity, so they got to give it more. I mean, it's clear. Problem is, Lewis now also has 11 laps on his medium tyre, huh? So it's starting to suffer as well, and so the opportunity, the chance is decreasing with every lap here.
They tried to do what they did in 2019 with Mercedes, stopping Hamilton on lap 48, give him some fresher tyres to go and charge towards a potential victory. But as I mentioned at the time, he had to get through Alonso, Sainz and Vettel before he got to Ocon. And the first hurdle, Alonso, is proving to be quite a stubborn obstacle, but he is much closer. Coming out of the final turn now, 10 laps to go. Hamilton, 15 kilometres an hour faster. plus what he's got in his battery pack. With Fernando Alonso into turn one they go. Alonso under braking, a little bit unstable there. That might give Hamilton better opportunity to get out of turn two and to get closer with DRS as well. He was looking down the inside. Alonso was having nothing of it, but he's still going to keep attacking here. And the car ahead, it's the Ferrari, and that's thinking, right, I'll just keep a watching brief on this from a distance, because Hamilton, if he can get past Alonso, he's coming back at me very shortly, but he's not able to get past Alonso again.
This is going to be so annoying for Lewis right now, that he just feels so stuck and not able to do anything.
But it is such high drama for the rest of us as well, though. Is there any other opportunity? He's had a look into turn one, into turn 2 and 3 and 4. Is there anywhere else on this track?
At the moment, it still looks like turn 2 is going to be the place and his only chance. So he needs to set it up in turn 1. Alonso's always going to close the door there. Then needs to get a good run out of turn 1 and go around the outside turn 2.
He's all over the place.
Of course he's all over the place. He's trying to defend, but it doesn't look unfair and aggressive. 10 laps to go. Here we go. Verstappen on Ricciardo. He's going to have a look around turn 2, and this time Max Verstappen might be able to make the move. He's briefly up into 10th place. He's going to stay up in 10th place as Hamilton gets closer to Alonso, and he will now try and do what Verstappen has just done to Ricciardo, but this time Alonso for 4th place. Carlos Sainz goes through in 3rd. Hamilton can't quite get close enough once again to the Alpine of Fernando Alonso, and he's kept at bay. And in the driver of the day poll, Ocon and Hamilton both with 14% of the vote so far. Still 10 laps to go. Any one of those two could take it.
So this is what Lewis needs to do with Alonso. Set it up in turn 1. Ricciardo had to block, so had a bad run out of turn 1, and then Verstappen round the outside into turn 2. That's the best way to do it.
Hey, come on.
Cool, mate.
So Esteban Ocon continues to lead. 25 points for Esteban Ocon. Coming his way, Sebastian Vettel for a 2nd podium of the season, potentially for him. Carlos Sainz for a 2nd podium position for him, is currently 3rd in the Drivers' Championship. Hamilton leads Verstappen by 2 points if it stays the way it is at the moment. Fernando Alonso picking up 12 points for his 4th place. And behind Hamilton, Gasly, Tsunoda, Latifi, Russell and Verstappen now in the points. A 1 point place, 10th place for Max Verstappen. As I'm looking now at Lewis Hamilton coming out of turn 1. And is he close enough to have a go? Late braking down into turn 2, harvesting going on at that Alpine. That's why the light is flashing as he tries to get more energy into the battery pack to defend against Hamilton, who's gaining all the while now. Down towards turn 4 we go. Hamilton just backs out of it because he knew that there was no room once again at the end. And Valtteri Bottas, I'm being told, I see it now in front of me, has been given a 5 grid place penalty at the start of the next race. That's the Belgian Grand Prix towards the end of August. The stewards have looked at that incident at turn 1 where he braked late, went into the back of Lando Norris, and eventually we lost Norris and Perez and Stroll and Leclerc and Mazepin during the pit stops as well. Bottas, 5 place penalty for the next race.
Yeah, could also have been a couple more positions, maybe. I mean, for clearing out so many cars at the start. But there we go, it is what it is.
So, 5 places for Valtteri Bottas at Spa, where we'll be in a few weeks' time in between. Formula One has its shutdown, and will Hamilton go into the shutdown a lot happier than he will be at the moment behind Fernando Alonso, who goes over to the right-hand side. Now, Hamilton forces Alonso to defend in the way Nico Rosberg said that he should be doing, but still Fernando Alonso gets better traction going out of turn 1. Hamilton trying to go around the outside, here into turn 2, does brake later this time, not late enough. Alonso stays ahead, but this is going to carry on and on, because don't forget the pace advantage the Mercedes has towards turn 4. This time he's alongside, and I think they might have touched there as well. Hamilton had to back out of it. Alonso somehow is keeping Hamilton at bay. This is incredible fighting spirit between two drivers, and it almost ended up in contact and disaster for both.
So what Lewis did, he took a different line in the last corner. He offset himself for the first time to take an outside line, looking for the clean air. And I think he learned that now. So maybe we'll see another really good attempt very, very soon.
Oh, was your heart in your mouth as they were getting towards turn 4 then?
Yeah, but Alonso, I mean, what a brilliant defensive drive he's doing today, isn't it? Amazing. Because again, Lewis tries around the outside, and Alonso just there's no chance. But turn 4 could be an opportunity.
Guys, you see he just moved over on me, man. Come on.
Copy, Lewis, we saw that.
They did touch. Did he move over on him there? And was that a little bit over the line in terms of fighting spirit?
It was fine. I looked at it in the moment, it was all good. Of course on the edge, but it's fine.
So, he did leave one car's width, that is worth saying as well, and Hamilton carries on again. And we'll just follow this through towards turn 4. Out in front, by the way, Sebastian Vettel's now 6 and a bit tenths behind Esteban Ocon. He's gaining on the race leader. Fernando Alonso fighting off Lewis Hamilton once more. Keeps him at bay. Ted, we can go down to you.
Yeah, this is the Alonso-Hamilton battle I've been waiting 12 years for, since they were partners at McLaren in 07. Fantastic stuff. Right, it's all calm at Alpine. They think they've got this under control. Sebastian's trying anything he can, just waiting for a mistake from Ocon in order to take the lead of the race. But it looks like Ocon's got this down, and Williams are worried now about Verstappen. Yes, it's a wounded Red Bull behind them, but they're worried that they might lose a place. Team radio.
That speed is so dangerous, man.
That's the sort of radio message you often expect. Nico, you say it was fair and it was okay, but Lewis Hamilton, I'm sure, is wanting to attract people's attention to it.
Okay, now we see another round. So Alonso took a wide line, Lewis very tight, offsetting himself. Let's see if he's close enough now.
As down the main straight we go once again, nudging 195 miles an hour.
Yes, very close now.
Here comes Hamilton. He just backed off a little bit too early, but Alonso has locked up. This is Hamilton's chance. It has been coming for a few laps now. You can hear the cheers from the crowd. Hamilton is up in the 4th place, but he's still got to defend it. Alonso tried to go round the outside, wasn't quite alongside him, and Hamilton is now released from behind the Alpine to chase after Carlos Sainz, but has he got enough laps to do it? Lap 65, Hamilton, who was 14th, is now 4th and extends his lead at the top of the Drivers' Championship, with Max Verstappen scoring only the 1 point.
Yeah, great job there. I mean, Lewis just kept the pressure on. Alonso made the mistake in the end, and then it was just a clean overtake. So great job there from Lewis. He should be able to get Sainz as well, because Sainz has older tires than Alonso. Sainz has 32 lap-old tires, so he should be able to clear Sainz quite quickly as well.
And Toto Wolff gives it a big right. Finally, now we can get after Sainz. Podium place for Hamilton would be absolutely incredible. While all this is going on, Sebastian Vettel gets close and then not quite close enough to Esteban Ocon. There's 5 laps to go. Maybe he's now charging up his battery for a move on the next lap, but on this lap, Hamilton might want to have a go at Carlos Sainz. Sainz said a while back, watch out for Hamilton. We need to worry about him and be careful. Hamilton is gaining on him, has to go the long way, round the outside into turn 1. Now, a better exit out of turn 2 will give him the opportunity to get past the Ferrari, but is he going to be close enough? Not quite.
Yeah, I mean, but he's lining it up, so it will be next lap. Next lap, another good shot, and I think he's going to clear him next lap, because he's figured him out now, and as I said, his tires are just too old for Sainz at the moment.
Oh, for one brief moment, I thought he was having a look at turn 4 on this lap as well. What a charge through the field this has been. It's something about the Hungarian Grand Prix on a track that is, well, according to esteemed drivers like yourself, impossible to overtake on. We get such great action. Many years here we've been coming here. This is the 36th Hungarian Grand Prix, but we get some brilliant action, and it's another crazy race here in Budapest.
Look how close Lewis is able to follow Sainz. It's much closer than with Alonso previously.
And you've got, by the way, Daniel Ricciardo about to be lapped just ahead of Carlos Sainz. So, Sainz looking for a second podium for Ferrari and having to defend that, charging and the light flashing around the final corner. Hamilton is so much closer around the final corner this time around, but Sainz has got DRS because he's about to lap Daniel Ricciardo. Moves over to the right-hand side. Hamilton is with him. Hamilton has got the pace advantage and has got better traction coming out of that corner. Sainz forces him deep to try and put some more pressure on him, but it doesn't quite happen. And through goes Lewis Hamilton into the podium places here in Hungary. Sainz is going to fight this one back. Eventually, quickly. He might have to yield. He does yield. It is Ocon, it is Vettel, it is Hamilton, the top three, and Verstappen still down in 10th.
Great job from Lewis. But unfortunately now the gap is too big to the guys in front. I don't think he's gonna be able to catch those guys anymore.
Well, overall, a man starting pole and finishing third. That was so close to contact, wasn't it?
That was not good from Sainz. Too late to move over.
And that the reaction of a man who has all the frustrations in the world. And if you saw there a lock-up from Daniel Ricciardo as he was trying to keep out of the way of everybody, down in 11th place. So Alonso in 5th. He's actually a lot closer to Carlos Sainz than he thought he might be as well. Still might be an opportunity for Alonso to get back into 4th place. We're on lap 68 out of 70, and it's a 1.5 second gap between Esteban Ocon and Sebastian Vettel. Hamilton, as Nico said, probably a little bit too far back, but it has absolutely been damage recovery from Mercedes here. Yes, they might be disappointed that 100th win isn't coming Lewis Hamilton's way, but considering what it could have been, this race has turned out very well for Hamilton and his side of the Mercedes garage.
No, definitely. I mean, with the mistake they did in the beginning of the race, P3 is a very okay result, and in terms of championship points, puts him in a great position, leading the way in the championship after this weekend.
He has got 3rd place at the moment and a fastest lap as well, Lewis Hamilton. So that would be, I think, 7 points, his championship lead. And given that going into Silverstone, Max was 32 points in the lead, what a turnaround in the last couple of races. Sebastian Vettel started this race 10th, as you can see, now running in 2nd place. The man in front of him started 8th and is now running in the lead. When you woke up this morning and examined all the scenarios that could come your way, were any of them involving Esteban Ocon and Sebastian Vettel 1 and 2?
Let's ask Ted the question.
Ted might say yes.
Well, yes, because I had a lot of cheese for dinner, so you do tend to have some strange dreams. But I tell you who's not dreaming, all the Alpine mechanics down here. I'm just looking at them. Some of the mechanics have got so nervous they can't bear to be in the garage and have started packing up. They're volunteering to pack up so they don't have to look at the screens. The mechanic who holds out Esteban Ocon's pit board, she's so nervous she keeps doing sort of drums on the box where they keep the numbers. She can't believe that she's putting P1 and then the numbers plus Vet plus 1.5, L1 P1 Vet plus 1.5. Davide Brivio, Alan Permain. Brivio, a new guy from MotoGP. Alan Permain, an old Benetton lifer at this Enstone team, as the AlphaTauri comes past me. Pierre Gasly comes past me for a late pit stop for soft tyres. You know, they're on the pit stop. They've been here before. Permain's won World Championships.
Yep.
Brivio never has, neither of the others on the Alpine side, but they're loving it and hating it at the same time.
Pierre Gasly's pitting, maybe to try and get a fastest lap, which could steal a point away from Lewis Hamilton and hand it to Gasly and to AlphaTauri. Last French driver to win a Formula One Grand Prix with a French engine in a French car, Alain Prost, back in 1983 in Austria for Renault. I don't think he's here this weekend, Alain Prost. How he would love to now be in a position where he can be charging towards the pit wall to celebrate what is a magnificent afternoon for the Alpine team and everyone based at Enstone. All the troubles they've been through in recent years, and they are looking now like they're going to be Grand Prix winners once again. 1.5 seconds between Ocon and Vettel. Hamilton chasing down Sebastian Vettel. Is it too little too late? Max Verstappen trying to get back at George Russell as well. He's got a second gap to close in on, but Esteban Ocon, whose last win was in GP3 in Spain in 2015, has now got half a lap to go, leading a Grand Prix and about to win a Grand Prix. What's it like to win a Grand Prix, Nico Rosberg?
That is incredible. I mean, his emotions now, he's going to be like, what on earth is happening to me here? But of course, after the drive today, he fully deserves it. I mean, he's not put a foot wrong, driven fantastically with the huge pressure from Vettel. But look at Lewis Hamilton. It's Alonso who cost Lewis the win today because he's just closing up now, but it's too late. 3 laps earlier, Hamilton passed Alonso. He might have been challenging Ocon for the win. No one's challenging Ocon for the win now. Esteban Ocon is going to be a Grand Prix winner in Formula One. Ocon wins the Hungarian Grand Prix.
Prix. Sebastian Vettel takes second for Aston Martin. Lewis Hamilton from 14th comes back to finish on the podiums. Très bon, très bien, and formidable Esteban Ocon. Well done. I could not be more pleased for that man winning a Formula One Grand Prix. Carlos Sainz comes home to take fourth. Alonso fifth. It's the greatest day Enstone have had since they won World Championships back in 05 and 06. Pierre Gasly should come home to take sixth place, and we're watching Gasly as well because he's going for the fastest lap of this race, but we're also watching Max Verstappen on the tail of George Russell here, trying to claim another point on what has been an epically bad day for Red Bull, with Perez out and Verstappen down in 10th.
Yes, guys.
Well done, mate. You just won the Hungarian Grand Prix. Well done, mate.
That is so emotional. I mean, it's just so damn powerful. Like, it's a childhood dream, you know, that comes true. And that you weren't expecting at all. Like, you weren't even thinking about that dream today, you know? And it just suddenly comes through with a win. It's beautiful to watch.
Well, the man who made his debut in Spa in 2016 for the Manor Motorsport team goes to Spa in 2021 as a Grand Prix winner now. Esteban Ocon, he had to take a year out of Formula One as well before he could return back to racing. And look, the two Alpines side by side in formation as the experienced old hand says, you are the man. And today, Esteban Ocon certainly was the man. Pierre Gasly, by the way, did take the fastest lap of the race, so that's a point that they snatched away, the AlphaTauri team, from Lewis Hamilton, who'd held it before. He finishes sixth ahead of Yuki Tsunoda.
Well done, Sebastian. P2.
Oh man, I tried the whole race. Man, following is so difficult. We're faster. Sorry, guys.
Of course, he'll be gutted because he had a few small chances, and especially with the pit stop, of course. Yeah. There was the biggest chance within the pit stop, and so they could have had the win as well, but it didn't go their way today.
Oh dear, behind Tsunoda, Nicholas Latifi. Best ever Grand Prix finish for Nicholas Latifi. Points for the Williams team as well. George Russell finishing in 9th. He gets his first points as a Williams driver, but beaten by his teammate. That's 6 points for Williams. That is so necessary for them. And behind them, Max Verstappen finishing 10th. And Sebastian Vettel stops on his way, and someone's going to have to give him a lift back to Parc Ferme. I wonder if a few here that have been racing so hard, George Russell stopped as well, they've just run out of fuel and can't get their own way back to Parc Ferme. That's not going to incur a penalty, would after qualifying, of course.
No, that's all fine. It's just as long as they haven't used too much fuel during the race. That's the one that matters.
This man just wants to take victory lap after victory lap.
Wow, 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 wow.
Okay, remind us to drink, please. That was awesome. That, yeah.
Allez Alpine, allez les bleus, yes, yes!
to the summer break and wherever Esteban Ocon is going to relax. Now as a Grand Prix winner in his 78th Formula One Grand Prix. This young 24-year-old has that winning feeling.
Well, that's great to see, the team spirit. That's awesome that Fernando is celebrating his young teammate in that way. Great sportsmanship.
I think he's going to be quite happy when Esteban brings the winner's trophy to the birthday party. Constructors' winners' trophy as well, and look, there's Sebastian Vettel to say well done. I pushed you so much, he said. And he tried. Well, we didn't see the battle all the way through, but Vettel was always there, a second and a half, sometimes half a second behind Esteban Ocon.
No, I mean, don't underestimate how tough a race it was for Ocon, because there was long periods of the race where Vettel was in the DRS and just piling so much pressure on, and Ocon could